Welcome. Thanks for joining today. My name is Emery Wager, co-founder of Confido Legal, and I have a special guest with me today. This is Dave Molinaro. He's one of our senior engineers and did a lot of the work behind what you'll see today. First, I just wanted to say a huge thank you to every one of our existing clients who are here today. A little background. So historically, we haven't done a great job of telling you all what's new in Confido. We've kind of just launched new features and things and had you find them on your own. So we're trying to do a better job of that. And this is one of our first attempts at that. If it goes well today, we may just do this on a quarterly basis. As the title suggests, we're going to be talking about what's new in Confido Legal. We're going to be talking a little bit about what's next in Confido, and we'll also have time for questions, as I mentioned, both in line during the presentation and afterwards. But before I dive in, I wanted to kind of set the scene a little bit. So why are we doing what we're doing? And I think it's helpful for you all to understand that, so you know kind of in what context we're delivering these new features and where are we going in the future. I took these 3 screenshots from my phone yesterday. This is the Amazon app, and you notice here I can buy this weird replacement part for a heat lamp at our house with one click. So there's very little friction in that payment experience. Here is Venmo, and I'm about to pay $500 to Stephanie, our Chief Operating Officer, with one click here that's going to instantly show up in her account. And here I can buy a very expensive Uber ride to Seattle Airport from my house with one click. So these companies have invested a ton in optimizing the checkout experience, the payment experience, because they know how valuable it is. Reducing friction in that payment experience and increasing the percentage of folks who actually convert at the checkout page makes a huge difference for these companies, both in revenue, which is relatively obvious, but also it has an outsized impact on profit because you've already done the work to acquire this customer, and in the high friction experience, they're dropping out and they're not buying. In the low friction experience, they are clicking and buying. You've already spent a lot of the money to acquire that customer. So optimizing these checkout flows, making them more seamless, has an outsized impact on profit for these companies. And because they've done such a good job optimizing their checkout flows, they basically taught consumers that this is the new way. This is the new norm, and it's what consumers have come to expect. And these are the same consumers that are clients of law firms directly, if it's a consumer-facing practice area, or it's the same people who are running accounts payable departments who are paying legal bills on behalf of businesses. So this is the new norm, and it's our mission to bring these seamless digital payments tools that the top e-commerce brands are using to the legal space. To optimize your revenue, profitability, and also cash flow, but also to speak to that next generation of clients who really have come to expect seamless digital payment experience, both paying in and receiving. So I think that's kind of helpful context just to know a little bit about kind of why we exist, what we're working on. And with that context, we'll dive into the nitty-gritty of what's new in the app this quarter. The 4 things we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about our disbursements product. I don't think I can say this is new anymore, but this was really designed, we have a lot of features for paying into Confido Legal, paying into your firm via Confido Legal, but we wanted to also allow you to pay out from any of your connected bank accounts in Confido Legal. We designed it primarily for plaintiff firms that are operating on contingency and need to do a high volume of payouts. We've seen some really interesting use cases also in family law, for example, at the end of a case when retainers need to be returned to clients using it for that and paying vendors and a variety of other use cases. So it's exciting for us to be able to help you both with the pay-ins and the payouts. So we'll go over that. We'll talk about our new transactions table. I know this is an area where it's not super flashy, but I know you all spend a lot of time in that transactions table. So we've made some major enhancements, and Dave was the driving force behind that. So we'll go through that. More easily linking clients to payments. So if you're using our standing links feature, basically generic links that any client can use, we made it easier to link those payments to clients after the fact. And then we built more transaction details so that you can have more information about what's going on and what was the life cycle of that transaction. So let's dive in. So here I am in the disbursements home screen here, and I want to create a new disbursement. So let's say I want to pay out a client on a contingency matter or return unused retainer funds. I'm just going to click new disbursement. I'm going to enter the amount here, and then I'm going to pick my funding account so I can fund from any of my connected bank accounts. Same with our payment processing. There's all of the kind of associated fees and whatnot. We never debit any of your accounts that are classified as trust accounts. So it's designed to make it easy to pay out of a trust account. I can come in here and select my client. Optionally, I can select a matter. And this is an important part. These are the authorized identities. Because you're sending money out, we have additional protections on that link to make sure that only the person that you want to access this link has access to it. So in this case, I already had my phone number here attached to the client record, so it popped up automatically, but I can add if I wanted to here. You all can text me if you ever have issues now. You can save that number. And then down here, I have my selected payout methods. So I can use ACH, push to card. Zelle, we aren't going to support for much longer. They've kind of changed who they're kind of allowing into the Zelle network. So we're going to sunset that, but we'll be adding other payment methods as well in the future. Enhanced security, this is just provides some additional security checks, including making sure that the payer name substantially matches the actual client name. So it's not designed for every transaction because it will result in more declines. But if there's a particular transaction that you want to be more cautious about, you can turn that on. And then you can set an expiration date there. So the next step in the process, once you've completed the setup, is to create a draft. And the process is designed so that there's some checks and balances built into this. If you have a user role in Confido, you will be able to draft disbursements only. Only admins are able to approve them. So as an admin, I'm going to go ahead and approve that here. And now I have a link that I can send out to the client. So I'm going to click on this link and we're going to switch gears and go from the firm perspective over to the client perspective. So as mentioned, this is where the authorized identity comes into play. I have to enter a phone number or email that's an authorized identity on that link so that I can unlock it and accept the funds. Now that I'm in here and it's unlocked, I have basically two main choices. I can get that money instantly, and I'm going to pay 1%, capped at $50 per transaction. And that money is usually, regardless of payment method, in the instant category is going to be in my bank account, usually by the time I close out of this page. It's usually a matter of seconds. And then I have the option to receive that money on a regular ACH timeline for free. And I can do this either by logging into my online banking or by entering that banking information manually here. So we'll go ahead and run an instant transaction. So here I'm going to use the send to debit card, where I'm going to type in my debit card number. I'm going to grab a test number here. I'm going to run that transaction. Now the client in this case is going to see $49.50 in their account. You will see a debit in your trust account or whatever funding account you've selected for the full $5,000. So now if I go back here and refresh, that's been delivered to the client, and I'll see that show up in the new all transactions report here. So that is the process of sending out a disbursement. Try to make it super simple and allow, you do want to pay out a client, to give them the option to get that money very, very fast using kind of the payment methods they prefer. And as I mentioned, we're going to be adding one of our kind of things I'll talk about in the what's next section is we're going to be adding other payment methods there. So that is the disbursements process. And next we'll go into the new transactions table. One of the things we did, we got a lot of feedback that you wanted to see the declines and errors. So now I can include declines and errors in the transactions table. You can see all of the errored transactions. Let's say a client was attempting to pay multiple times, but they didn't have enough money in their bank account. You can see that here. In the test account, it just says unknown error for all of these, but in a live account, you'd be able to see the reason for the error. Another thing we did would make it easier to perform actions here. You used to have to take several layers deep to run, say, a refund. Now you can perform a bunch of different actions here. You can copy that transaction to the clipboard, you can download the receipt, resend a receipt, and you can also view the details of that transaction For payments, you can also run refunds here. So you can see the first action here is a refund. So now you don't have to do several clicks to run a refund. You come in here, you can do a full or partial, and then click submit. Another thing that we did, added new rolling date ranges. So if you want to see just the transactions that were run, say this month, and get a total amount, you can do that. And you can also now save these views. So I can save that view and always come back to it this month's transactions. So if you need good reporting by rolling date range, this is a great way to set up those saved views, and it will remember your saved views. So whichever one you're on, when you come back to the page, it'll be that same saved view there. We made it easier to associate a client. So you can now attach a client right from this home screen. You can select the client right here. You can also see what the client entered in the notes field to make it easier to post. So here is what I typed in as the client when I made the payment. So to make it easier to post, we put that data right here, and now you can just attach.
There is a filter for disbursement types. So if you want to see only your disbursement transactions, you can do that. If you were to go into the filters and the types, there's an easy type for that. And then a couple new options that we've added also were the ability to search by last four of card. And in the saved views is you can actually reorder or hide columns if you don't want to see them too.
Looking out over the next couple months, we're going to be making some more enhancements to the disbursements. So adding new payment methods. We're not quite ready to announce the order, but we're looking at things like PayPal, Venmo, and the ability to send a check, not from you, but basically to prompt a check to be sent to the client as a payment method. Interface enhancements throughout the app. This is something that Dave's going to be working on, in like the client screen, the subscriptions screen, and the deposits report screen as well, just to make those more user-friendly. We also spend a lot of time behind the scenes, so things you may not see in the app, but we spend a lot of time empowering the legal technology companies, billing, practice management, case management systems that integrate with Confido, giving them more to make those integrations stronger. So we're still going to be doing a lot of that work. That's what's new. What's next? Like I said, we will, if we get good feedback on this, we'll keep doing this kind of on a quarterly cadence. So definitely let us know. So whether you're an existing client or a new prospective client, there's multiple ways right on our home screen, confidolegal.com, our homepage, to book a demo. We'd love you to do that if you have questions, want to spend time with our team.